How's it going, guys? Alex here from Mazecast. So, welcome, gentle viewers. I know it's been a while, probably a few years now, so I do apologize on the behalf of the Mazecast crew for sort of just leaving abruptly, not really saying if we had any other episodes planned or anything like that. The short answer is no. I mean, I think that we covered pretty much every single room, including other stuff as well. We beat a dead horse, as the expression goes. I'm sure that we did not cover everything. In fact, I know we didn't cover everything. Most of the stuff, in my opinion, is still sort of mysterious, and maybe we could get back into this. My main critique with sort of, I want to call it Mazecast 1.0 is the fucking audio quality was absolutely nasty. We need to get on a new level of audio quality, and I am trying right now. I bought this microphone. Hopefully it's a lot more crisp than the shit that you had to deal with before. So let me just start off by saying that the quality, if we do go back into Mazecast, is going to be a little better. You are going to be able to play it in your car as a podcast on your commute to work or whatever. I'm going to try and make it so that you're not really having to rely on any visuals. I mean, Maze. If you're a Maze person, then you don't really need to be looking at pages of the Maze while we discuss it. That being said, I just want to go over a few things that they're probably not important, but I do want to go through them just because I think that the succinctness of I just want to be more succinct. I just want to be a little more clear on what I believe. Hot take here. Maybe it's not a hot take, but I think that a lot of the stuff that White Raven said on Into the Abyss is probably hyperbole. He was sort of standing on a gloomy hill in his Edgar Allan Poe mode, with his trench coat blowing in the wind as he mused these things, and I just kind of want to dispel some of the things that he said here because it really doesn't help in solving the book or looking at legitimate ways to solve the maze as a whole. So let's get into it here. So this is the page on his website, Into the Abyss, called Guide, The Nature of the House. The nature of the house has largely been overlooked in favor of focusing on the identity of the guide, but the house is a character in its own right with 6 primary characteristics. All right, so the house is a character in its own right. No argument there. Absolutely. David Simon and the show The Wire said that Baltimore was itself a character in the show, and in the same kind of vein, I think this is almost even more so a character in the book. Probably the most important one. So I'm glad that he mentioned it here in this sort of poetic way. But ultimately, we already know that. And even if you don't, it doesn't really affect how you look at the puzzles and how to solve the puzzles. The nature of the house is largely being overlooked in favor of focusing of the guide. Okay, this is wrong. Right off the bat, we're getting off track here, White Raven. I don't think that anybody put one above the other. I actually think that White Raven was the person who kind of aggressively brought up the fact that the identity of the guide matters so much, maybe more so than he actually does. I don't know. I mean, I always enjoyed the book without knowing who the guide was. I don't know if there are additional meta puzzles or sub puzzles in there. I think there's a lot to be discovered here, but I think that it's wrong to say that has largely been overlooked by who? Overlooked by who, dude? There's not a lot of people into Maze. Like there's us, there's the Mazecast crew, there's the sort of outliers who comment on your website, but who largely overlooked by who? You're not talking to a massive audience here. Anybody who has any interest whatsoever has sort of stood up and spoken, and I haven't seen anybody overlook one thing in favor of the other. So right off the cuff here, he's wrong. Okay, let's continue. First, the house is in a state of spatial flux. In the prologue, the guide muses, "Even I get lost. It changes, sometimes slowly, imperceptibly, sometimes subtly." Blah, blah, blah. Again, Edgar Allan Poe mode here, on Manson this time. But Manson's allowed to do this. He's allowed to set the tone for the book. I don't think that you, in an autistic way, have to physically think about changes as like Mercury. The whole book is Mercury. It's changing constantly. Like, no, it's not, dude. It's a book. It stays the same forever. It's the same book today. It's the same book in 50 years. It's the same. Any talk here about mutability or spatial flux is just, again, plain wrong. The house is not only blah, blah, blah. Okay, this plays no role. Okay, he does mention this plays no role in the arrangement of the room. So, well, why did you mention it then? In the book, we experience as part of the house that is, for the moment, stable. Again, weasel words. For the moment. No, dude, the book is one and forever. There's no moment. It's stable. It was stable. It is stable. It will always be stable. There's no for the moment here, dude. All right, second, the house is huge. I'm not going to go through this. The house isn't huge. It's 45 pages. It was no stranger to its time. There were many sort of play-by-number books at the time. So maybe the one thing that separates Maze from those is the fact that it was illustrated. You know, I do know that there were other illustrated ones. I used to have one. It was a children's book, Rumpelstiltskin, part of the Choose Your Own Adventure series. And it's really hard to find, actually. Way harder than anything that I'd be trying to look for lately. I can't look up Rumpelstiltskin Choose Your Own Adventure book. I can't find it anywhere. It's crazy. I used to have a copy. I don't know where it is. But it was entertaining. It was a good book. You were able to end up in the dungeons, like if you weren't able to find out that Rumpelstiltskin, his name and the whole thing with weaving straw into gold and whatnot. Like it was cool. It was a cool adventure book for kids. Obviously, a lot simpler than Maze. But point here is that Maze was no stranger at its time to this sort of multi-branch book thing. In fact, I might even argue that it did that because it was kind of viral at the time. It was the hot thing at the time. All right, let's continue. The house is in a state of temporal flux. Okay, we all know what he's getting at here. He's talking about room 10 and 37, where it's implied that the reader hears himself or herself in another room and vice versa. Again, I think this is just a play on the fact that he has the power to put the reader as a choose your own adventure book in more than one room at the same time. It's just a little comical play on there. This doesn't fucking mean that the whole house is in a state of temporal flux. So again, wrong. Fourth, the house is essentially a series of props and gags. Each room is a facade meant to convey a message via a riddle. Can't argue there. Thus, the house is not an actual house, but a very dangerous theater. Dangerous in what sense? In the sense that it is a huge version of Chutes and Ladders, where if you take enough deadly chutes, you're going to end up in room 24. So yeah, can't really argue with that. Are these real, they asked. I told them the trees were as real as anything else in the maze. Again, which is not real. So nothing in the maze is real. It's a fucking book. It's a game. It's a puzzle. None of it's real. That may be indicative of a different puzzle. Maybe this is implied and it's doing double duty. I don't know. I don't want to trip out here because enough people have done that. Fifth, while the house changes on its own, it is also being changed by the guide. No, nothing's changing. Guide doesn't change anything. The guide doesn't change. Just your interpretation does. That's the only thing changing here. Lastly, the house is alive. The house grows and changes, so do the riddles. Thus, the house can reason, implying that it has a goal. This is problematic. Is the house evil or good? Are the house and the guide in league with one another? Okay, take it easy here, Joe Rogan. I think you've taken a little too fucking hits of DMT, White Raven. Just relax here. I don't know what he's getting at here. What is the point of this whatsoever? I don't see anything. On the one hand, the arrangement of the house creates a trap which funnels visitors into room 24, the abyss, while the guide enjoys the process of messing with the visitors. His ultimate goal is to lead the visitors to room 24. Yep, that's correct. So going back here to that point, we could see that someone had been working here recently. The entrance I had so carefully hidden had been uncovered. I made a note to return as soon as I could and fill the hole in again. Of course, this is in reference to, where is it? Yeah, room 27. So he's kind of saying, hey guys, don't pay attention to the huge, massive hole in the ground that goes to room 9. So, the unreliable narrator is pulling a little bit of reverse psychology here, bringing extraneous attention to the wrong door, which should not be the first time he does this. Of course, in room 36, he basically it's just crazy. It's like, take a look here, not 36. Sorry, my bad. I'm talking about this one, room 30. Room 30, the main puzzle in the middle of the whole fucking floor, F-hour tree points to 34. So even a lot of effort spent on clues still is overcome by the odd man out. I'm never going to see an odd man in, by the way. It's ridiculous. If you're odd, you're not in. The odd man out door is 42. It's the one that nothing is pointing to, so to speak, in the room. So that's the one. So the same thing is kind of going on here. Here, but in reverse. Or maybe it's not in reverse. I don't know. It's confusing. But I think Manson does this a lot where he's like, don't pay attention to this, or do pay attention to this a lot. And really, it's all for naught. And maybe there's something else pointing to it. I don't think in room 30 there is anything pointing to the correct door, but in this room there is. So you definitely can't rely on any standards in Maze. Anyways, let's get back to it. Lastly, the house is alive. Now we went through that. It's not alive. It's a book. All right, so that's my first episode here of Alex's ramblings. I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative here or anything, guys. It's just a matter of, he's written so much here that is just completely fucking redundant, or it's not leading people in the right direction. And there's a lot more on this website that requires scrutiny, and I'm going to go through it. And not even necessarily on Into the Abyss, but even in Maze itself. The next episode I plan on doing is going to be on room 34, kind of simplifying what we talked about before, what can be taken at face value, what can't, and just kind of dropping some notions, I think, because, if you think about them, they just don't make sense. So anyways, that's it. Take it easy, gentle viewers.